Hello, everyone. Today we will talk about skin barrier. And this is a compilation of several talks that I have done previously. So it will give you kind of like a broad spectrum of information of what is the skin barrier, how to protect it, and what are the type of things that can hurt our skin barrier. So without further ado, let's start with this. So what is the skin barrier? The skin barrier is the layer of the skin that you see every day in the mirror, that you touch when you clean your face, that when you apply a moisturizer. So that is the skin barrier. And it's formed by 15 to 25 layers of flattened dead corneocytes, which are surrounded by a lipid matrix. The reason why I highlight the word dead here is because I wanted to be very clear that although these corneocytes don't have a nuclei, they don't have mitochondria, they are biologically active. So don't think for a moment that these cells are dead and they're not doing anything. They are very important and they're making a very strong, biological, they're performing a very strong biological function. So let's look with a microscope into the barrier function and let's analyze each of the components. So corneocytes, what are corneocytes? Corneocytes are keratinocytes in the final stage of differentiation. So remember, keratinocytes come from the stem cells on the base of the epidermis, and as they are getting mature, they are, they differentiate, so they graduate to the next level. And as they are differentiating, they are basically acquiring different phenotypes to accomplish the corneocytes. And this is a process that is done, as they are moving upper into the upper layers of the skin. And this process is very important because it will end with a corneocyte that will contain inside of the cells the laminar bodies that contain fatty acids, ceramides, and cholesterol. And we all know how important these lipids are to preserve the skin barrier. So these are the corneocytes. So in the classical model of the barrier function, these are the bricks. Now what keeps these bricks together is the glue. And the glue is formed by what is called the intercellular, so between the cells, laminar lipids. That is a kind of like gel phase that prevent or delay the passage of water. So even if you have, these bricks very, close to each other, you still will have the possibility that water will evaporate from the skin. So this kind of gel, this kind of glue that keep the corneocyte together is fundamental to prevent water evaporation, hence skin dehydration, irritation, and inflammation. So a very important component of the skin barrier is the natural moisturizing factor. So what is the natural moisturizing factor? It's a low molecular weight water-soluble blend. So it's formed by several types of acid and free amino acids, and it comes from the degradation of filaggrin. So what is filaggrin? Filaggrin is a protein that is associated to keratin, and the degradation produces these hygroscopic, so water-lover amino acids and acids that basically are, their role is to trap the water from the atmosphere into the skin. Once the water is in the skin, it can be moved inside of the cells where is needed. So very important function of the natural moisturizing factor to trap the water from the atmosphere. So let's review some fun facts about the skin barrier. First, let's talk about natural moisturizing factor. So natural moisturizing factor, we say that increases skin hydration by trapping the water, into the skin, but also helps to regulate skin pH, which is fundamental. We will see that in a couple of slides. Promotes the production of ceramides, also improve the barrier function. What is important about natural moisturizing factor is this is not a substance this blend is not produced constantly by the skin. The production of natural moisturizing factor is very dynamic and respond heavily to the environment. So when we are exposed to very dry environments, we produce more natural moisturizing factor because we need to trap the water from the atmosphere, and the atmosphere has less molecules of water, so we need more natural moisturizing factor to trap an appropriate amount of water. When the atmosphere or the air is humid, we need less natural moisturizing factor because we have plenty of water to be trapped in the skin. What is key here is this different production that the skin can do depending on the atmosphere take a couple of days. So between 24 and 48 hours. So that is the reason when you fly to an area that is very dry, your skin feels dry for a couple of days, but after that, acclimatize and is able to produce the right amount of natural moisturizing factor that you need for that specific environment. What is kind of like unfortunate is like as we age, our skin reduces the production of natural moisturizing factors. So hence the capacity of the skin to acclimatize to different weathers, different type of atmosphere changes dramatically. So another thing that is important is like the corneocyte size indicates the epidermal cell turnovers. And the reason why I'm saying that this is important is because the faster that the turnover is, the smaller that the corneas are. So why is this important? It's because if you have a small bricks, you will have more chances of losing water because these cells occupy less space and you have a maximum amount of cells that are produced. It's not that you will have a larger amount of corneocytes with, a small size. So the reason why I'm saying this is like, when you exfoliate, if you ask anyone, like, what is the definition of like a good acid or a good exfoliant? It's like something that accelerates the cell turnover in the epidermis. So when you over exfoliate, what you are doing is basically increase the cell turnover too much, and you produce a small corneocyte. These small corneocytes are unable to preserve a cohesive barrier, and therefore you have skin dehydration and skin irritation. So now you know why, which is the mechanism linked to your overexfoliation, is because you are producing a small corneocyte and water evaporates through these small cells. And finally, there is a deficiency, a genetic deficiency in filaggrin that is present in about 8 to 10% of the population that produces skin dryness and eczema. Well, it's kind of like, like if you think about it, is filaggrin is the base for natural moisturizing factor, and you have lower amount of filaggrin, hence you will have lower amount of natural moisturizing factor, and you will have basically a lower capacity of the skin to respond to the atmosphere. So let's look into the lipids in the barrier function. So we talk about ceramides, everyone loves ceramides, fatty acid and cholesterol. And they need to be, to work, they need to be in a proper ratio. And the molar ratio is 1 to 1 to 1. So what that means is for 1 molecule of ceramide, you need 1 molecule of cholesterol and 1 molecule of fatty acid. And that is key to preserve the optimal permeability and balance of the skin barrier. So if you have a disrupt ratio of this basically disrupt the barrier function. So when it comes to, like to certain things, people say more is less, or like more is never enough. Well, not when it comes to this lipid. They need to be in the proper ratio. So ceramides, everyone loves them. It's, like when you have products that contain ceramides in skincare product that contain ceramide, they are beautiful. They basically produce this immediate satisfaction in your skin. Cholesterol, people tend to panic a little bit with, you mentioned cholesterol, because they think about all the harmful things that cholesterol produce and the cardiovascular disease and all the stuff, but cholesterol is fundamental for your membrane. Human cells membranes require cholesterol. They require cholesterol because this provides the fluidity of the stiffness of the membrane, and also because cholesterol forms very unique domains in your membranes that are able to capture signal from outside and, basically translate it inside. These membranes are called lipid raft, and or domains rich in cholesterol, and they are key for your cells to understand what is going on outside. So don't get scared when you see cholesterol. We need cholesterol for proper function. It's something that is so fundamental that we can produce our own cholesterol, and it's fundamental for all the membranes to work properly. And I put a question mark in free fatty acid because most of us, we don't understand very well what free fatty acids do, but we know for sure that we need them in the skin. Okay, so let's talk about skin pH. So skin pH is fundamental for maintaining the barrier function. Adult skin pH is on the acidic range, so between 4.3 and 5.3, and determines the cohesion and the integrity of the barrier and preserve the microbiota. So remember, on the top of your skin, on the top of your cornocytes, you have this blend of different microorganisms that are, bacteria, viruses, fungi, that not only protect your skin physically by preventing pathogens from touching your skin or adhering to your skin, but also produce antibacterial peptides and lipids. So basically prevents pathogens from attaching or surviving there. But the ratio of this, this microbiota between, certain bacteria, certain viruses, and fungi depends on the pH. So if you change the pH of your skin, you can alter your microbiota, and hence you can have a skin condition. So this is very important. So because during the past 15 years, skin microbiota have given us so much information on how the skin barrier works. So it's key to preserve your healthy microbiome to have an acidic skin pH. The other thing that is important is the skin has the capacity of self-neutralizing, so to restore the pH to a normal condition. This neutralization depends on how strong the disturbance in the pH was. And of course, it will take different time, between minutes and hours. For example, when you use soap bars that tend to have a very alkaline, very high pH, your skin pH can change 3 units. So going from 5.3 to 8.3 for at least 90 minutes. So most of the people washes their hands, hopefully, more than 1 time per day. So you can have a very constant disruption of the pH in your hands, and that can produce a skin condition. The other thing that is important is the changes in the skin pH trigger barrier disruptions and diseases, and decreases, the capacity of repair. So if your skin is constantly subjected to non-physiological skin pH, you can have a lower repair capacity, and you can have, issues with wound healing, for example. So let's review some fun facts about skin pH. We know that subjects that are prone to irritant contact dermatitis have a higher skin pH. And because they have a higher skin pH, have, these issues with their skin. Sometimes, polyhydroxy acid that basically acidify the skin can increase the barrier function. So if you have a skin that has an alkaline pH, so higher than 5.3, by using acid, you can bring that pH lower and basically decrease whatever symptom is associated to that disruption. One of the most common things that you can use is lactic acid at 4%, pH 3.7 to 4. Remember, it's very important when you use a skincare that contains acid to be at the right pH, because if this is too high, that means that none of the acid is in the active form. So going back to lactic acid at this concentration and pH, it has been shown that improves barrier function, increases ceramide production, and reduces skin sensitivity. So all good stuff. The other thing that it has been shown, is when you have higher skin pH, you can use acidic electrolyte water that is at a pH of 2 or 2.7, and that basically reduces the severity of dermatitis. Dermatitis can be, associated to higher pH, and reduces the colonization of Staphylococcus aureus. So again, you have the role of the microbiome. When you give the microbiome of your skin the right pH, they will protect you against pathogens and against bacteria that can produce infections or, pimples or things like that. Now, remember, as I said before, the healthy skin microbiome is at an acidic pH. The Staphylococcus aureus thrive at neutral pH. Neutral pH is pH 7. And the C. acnes grow better at pH 6 to 6.5. So again, you have this, very delicate balance between skin pH and microbiome. So The other thing that is very important to remember is like the desquamation enzymes are acidic. So what is desquamation? Is the normal cell turnover of the skin. So you have exfoliation is when you induce, basically the cell turnover. The desquamation is what is happening normal in your skin. And they're all acidic. So if you don't have an acidic pH, guess what happens? Your desquamation will not be optimal, and hence your skin will not be glowing and perfect. What is important to remember is like niacinamide, which is an amazing ingredient for preserving the skin barrier. Not only is amazing in function, but it's super cheap. That is the reason why companies can go to 20% of niacinamide, which is clinically relevant, and it's easy to formulate. But it's important that when you do formulation that contain niacinamide, they need to be at kind of like neutral pH to prevent niacin formation, which is the one responsible for the flashing. Like a lot of people, when they use high concentration of niacinamide, they have this flashing reaction. They become red because niacin is a vasodilator. So if you formulate niacinamide at pH in neutral, you will have all the benefits with minimum amount of issues. Now, what is important to remember with niacinamide is not because these ingredients is easy to formulate and cheap, you can go to a higher level for a marketing claim. You have to be conscious, like in agreement with what has been proved clinically. Clinically, it's niacinamide is around 5% is where you max out all the benefits without producing any of the adverse events. So very important to remember that. Higher is not better when it comes to certain ingredients. And remember, the only reason why companies can do that with niacinamide is because it's extremely cheap. Amazing ingredient, but extremely cheap. So when it comes to niacinamide, I say, when it's formulated at 2%, can be formulated in acidic product as low as pH 3, so with minimal niacin formation. So higher than that should be a pH neutral. And acidic formulation of niacinamide promotes autophagy, so which is great because on the top of niacinamide being great for barrier function, autophagy is the process in which damaged organelles from the cells are removed. So your damaged mitochondria can be removed and your cell works much better. So I have only good thing to say about niacinamide. The only thing that I always say is like my sweet spot, it's 2% of niacinamide. And I don't like to go higher than that because it can create issues that are, that take away all the benefits of this fantastic ingredient. So there are 8 factors that can alter your skin barrier function. And these are the skin barrier structure, so changing, the composition of your skin, the permeability of the barrier function. We already said, when you overexfoliate, your corneocytes are slower, so the skin is more permeable to this. Also, when you use a product that contains alcohols, a lot of alcohols there, they basically remove the lipids and they form hole or channels into your skin that can increase the permeability. But at the same time, these channels can basically help the water to evaporate. You have epidermal calcium gradient, epidermal lipid synthesis, and the stratus corneum lipid processing, inflammation. That is, like one of the main things that can disrupt your barrier function. The stratus corneum acidity. So we talk about the pH, hydration. If you don't have well-hydrated corneocytes, they will shrink a little bit. So we need to have proper hydration, and the microbiome, which depends, not only on the area of your body, but also on the pH of the skin. So let's talk a little bit about the most common sign of compromised barrier function. So how do I know that my skin barrier is compromised? First, your skin is irritated. It itches. So basically, it feels like tight, and it has pain. You have inflammation. So most of the people associate inflammation with redness. But remember, depending on the base color of your skin, inflammation will show in different color. Like very pale people will show a lot of redness. People like me, with a Latino background, because we have more melanin, inflammation will not show as red. It will show like a little bit, like less reddish, kind of purple. And people with darker skin type, inflammation will show as a gray tone because it's a combination of the brown and the red, produced by inflammation. So be aware of that. If you are not red, remember, maybe this is related to your ethnic background, but if you have the other symptom, it could be that your barrier is compromised. So we also have skin feels sensitive to the touch. So that is all very well observed in your eyelid when you are when you use too much retinoids and the eyelid gets compromised. The moment that you touch them, they hurt basically. The skin feel tight, not good tight. Sometimes you say products promote the skin tightness, which is like kind of like firmness, but when the skin feel tight, it feels thirsty, feel kind of like totally dehydrated. And you also can have changes in skin texture, like people who have skin that is acne prone, because the barrier is compromised and the skin is dehydrated, they tend to produce more oil. This is a normal function of the skin. So if the skin of an acne prone person, like is dehydrated, it will produce more oil. So that is the reason why it makes no sense for an acne prone skin person not to use a moisturizer or something that will help to preserve the barrier function. You just need to use one that is non-comedogenic, basically, but you need that because that will help you to control the skin oiliness. The same thing, like if you have a dry skin and out of the blue you start getting pimple, maybe your skin is dehydrated. A lot of people think about what I ate. I will say 80% of the time or even higher is not what you ate, it's what you are not doing to your skin, and your skin is probably dehydrated and trying to prevent water loss by increasing oil. So what are the things that we can do to prevent or to keep our barrier function? And I call this like fail-proof ways to keep barrier function. These are very simple stuff that we need to keep in mind to preserve our barrier function. First thing, be gentle to your skin. So we talk about overexfoliation. Choose gentle cleansers that have low level of acid or higher pH. Mandelic acid is my most beloved acid because it has all the benefits of a good exfoliant, but it's very gentle with your skin. Facial scrub are a big no in my book because they produce physical exfoliation, and I don't like physical exfoliation because people tend to go to town when they do physical exfoliation and they produce more damage than benefits. Minimize hot showers. Hot showers can produce a dehydration, and a big no in my book, which is a very disappointing thing for my husband, is no sauna or hot tub usage. I don't like them and my skin feels terrible after that, so I don't use them. And we talk about this, what is in the pink square, saying that acid, the percentage of acid is not the only thing that is important, but also the pH of the product. So the other thing is that is important to preserve your barrier function is seal the deal. So your barrier can do a lot of stuff, but moisturize is very important. I like moisturizer that contains ceramide, fatty acid, and cholesterol because, those are the things that the skin needs. I do slag. So I live in Colorado, so the air is very dry, especially during the winter. So, and we love skiing. So when I go skiing, I actually between at lunchtime, I do some slugging. So I put basically, Vaseline on my skin to produce an occlusive treatment and prevent transepidermal water loss. I love hydrators. And my definition of hydrators are those products that boost your own water retention in the skin. So it's not something that contains hyaluronic acid. It's something that basically boosts your own hyaluronic acid production in the skin. And this is basically, very, very important because that will plump your skin and help to keep the water inside of your skin. And the reason why I say I have this very unique definition is because if you think about hyaluronic acid is too large to penetrate the skin. So what produces a superficial hydration doesn't go into your skin. And hyaluronic acid is water obsessed, so it's a water lover, and therefore may dry your skin. So if you are in a very dry environment and you put a product that contains a lot of hyaluronic acid, guess what? The water will come, hyaluronic acid will find the water and will come from your skin, not from the environment, and will dry your skin. The other thing that is important to remember the half-life. So what is the time required for hyaluronic acid concentration to go half of what you initially added? In the dermis is 24 hours and the epidermis is a couple of hours. So even if you have penetration of hyaluronic acid from your products to your epidermis, in a couple of hours you will have half, and in a couple of hours more you will have half of the half. So that is the reason why my definition of a skin hydrator is those ones that promote the synthesis of hyaluronic acid by your own skin. That is the best solution to trap the water there. The other thing that is very important, use skin-friendly products. So to me, a skin-friendly product is defined as something that has a skin-friendly pH, so 5.5, 4.5. The other thing that is important, is to consider that pollution, solar radiation, chlorine water, detergent, topical antibacterial, and some makeup product can also increase the skin pH. And higher pH is more wrinkle, basically. It has been shown that. So be aware of that. Use your sunscreen and try to protect your skin from all, and trying to minimize the exposure of your skin to these harmful, products or condition. The other thing that is important, we have age increasing pH in the skin that result in the activation of alkaline ceramides and reducing the ceramide production. So it's very important as we are getting older to keep in mind that we need a skin-friendly pH, because our skin is fighting us and trying to become more alkaline, and that is not good for us. We talk about, a little bit about how the microbiome is different from different, parts in our body, and also the genetic background. Dryness and oiliness and acne can modify the skin pH. So all of these are conditions that you need to keep in mind to figure it out what, is how to deal with changes in the pH. And the reason why I'm saying, here, and what I put in the pink box is like, when it comes to genetic background, it has been shown that darker skin type tend to have a pH that is more acidic than lighter skin types. And they tend to have a more cohesive or superior integrity of the stratus corneum, and the lipid content and the laminar body are improved. So this more acidic pH basically results in a very barrier function, and most of the time, one of the reasons why they tend to have darker skin type tend to have less amount of wrinkles. Now, one thing that is very important is to remember that when we talk about the acidic pH of the skin, we're just talking about the surface of the skin. We're talking about the barrier. So the surface pH we say is like 4 to 5. When you go to the lower stratus corneum, it's already 6.8, and the stratum basale is 5 to 8 pH. So it's just this level of cells, this group of cells that are linked to the skin barrier. The final thing, on this fail-proof way to keep your barrier function is to select your active ingredients, choose wisely. So know your skin, know how your skin reacts to certain ingredients. As I say, niacinamide are acidic pH. 2% is enough for your skin if you don't have any major skin condition. 5 tend to be kind of like risky. More than 5 is clinically relevant, commercially beautiful. When it comes to niacinamide, it's, as I say, it's a beautiful ingredient, penetrate the skin, increases ceramide production and fatty acid production, reduces oil production, activate keratinocyte differentiation, so we will have more corneocyte, faster corneocyte, production. It's an anti-inflammatory, prevent activation of mast cells. Mast cells are involved in pigmentation and inhibit tyrosinases. So beautiful ingredient. I love it. I add it to most of my products because it's an ingredient that, as I say, is cheap and beautiful and easy to work with. The other thing that is is a very good ingredient is the oatmeal ingredients, because oatmeal derived ingredients, they have an anti-inflammatory and antihistaminic capacity, so they're perfect for irritated skin. They also have beta-glucan and starches that are skin protectant and water binders. I love beta-glucans. They are amazing. And they have phenols that are antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and saponins that cleanse the skin. So When it comes to kids, and my kid had eczema, oatmeal was like my to-go, like bath with oatmeal and all the lines, like moisturizer and everything that contain oatmeal, and that kept his eczema under control. I still use it. I use oatmeal powder for bath when my body skin is too dry, and it's amazing. So these are examples of 2 cheap ingredients that you can use to preserve your barrier function. The other thing that you can use is like, anti-inflammatory oils. So like grapeseed or rosehip, they are high in linoleic fatty acid, and those are very anti-inflammatory. They are beautiful. When it comes to antioxidants, I have a rule that I don't break, and it's like, I don't use antioxidant that needs to be to formulate at super acidic pH, like for example, vitamin C at pH 2 to 2.5. We know that this is the pH that we need for vitamin C to penetrate. I don't use it that. The moment that I put an acidic vitamin C in my skin will become red and irritated, and it will take me weeks to restore the damage that I create. So we have new antioxidants that we can formulate right now that are amazing, much better than vitamin C, that can be formulated at a skin-friendly pH. So for me, acidic antioxidant is a big no. And SPF, of course, you need to have SPF to protect the skin from damage, because solar radiation produces damage to the barrier. So we need to have an SPF. So this is a summary of everything that you should know about the skin barrier. And if you have any question, you can find me in my Instagram that was at the beginning of this presentation, and I will or put it on the comment section in this video, and I will be happy to answer that.